Alright guys, it's time to talk about loot boxes. What's happening guys, Sam Adams here and welcome to another episode of On the Topic Of. And over the past week or so, the topic of microtransactions and loot boxes has been in the news a good bit because of the controversy surrounding Middle-earth: Shadow of War. You see, the game is primarily a single-player game. In fact, it's overwhelmingly single-player, and there is still a loot box-style system incorporated into the game that allows you to put in a little bit of extra money and get a couple of in-game items to make your journey through Mordor a little bit easier. On top of that, it was also revealed that there is an alternative ending within Shadow of War that you can do about 12 hours of grinding in-game to get to, or you can buy a couple of microtransactions and make that journey as well a whole lot easier. So this is the kind of atmosphere that we're going into talking about Shadow of War and loot boxes, and so this is kind of spread to talk about loot boxes as a whole, more specifically the topic of if they are actually considered a form of gambling. In an email sent to Kotaku with a statement, the Entertainment Software Rating Board actually did come out and put out a statement that says the ESRB does not consider loot boxes to be gambling. While there is an element of chance in these mechanics, the player is always guaranteed to receive in-game content even if the player unfortunately receives something they don't want. We think of it as a similar practice to collectible card games. Sometimes you'll open a pack and get a brand new holographic card you've had your eye on for a while, but other times you'll end up with a pack of cards that you already have. PEGI, the pretty much European alternative to the ESRB, came out and put out a statement as well, saying, in short, our approach is similar to that of the ESRB. I think all rating boards do, USK and Germany as well. The main reason for this is that we cannot define what constitutes gambling. That is the responsibility of a National Gambling Commission. Our gambling content descriptor is given to games that simulate or teach gambling as it's done in real life in casinos, racetracks, etc. If a gambling commission would state that loot boxes are a form of gambling, then we would have to adjust our criteria to that. So in a sense, they're saying this isn't really our problem until somebody else makes it our problem. In my opinion, there are three elements that make up a good loot box system, or at least an acceptable system, and the first of those is that there are only cosmetic items in the box, nothing that impacts gameplay. If in Overwatch, for instance, there was some kind of, reward from a loot box that gave Reaper a more powerful shotgun, that's out of the question. That is wrong. That, my friends, is completely unacceptable for a game. However, considering right now you can get Halloween skins, considering there were Olympic skins and other kinds of variants and legendary skins that you can get through the game that just affect how the actual character looks instead of how it plays, I don't really see any issue with that. Number two, there is still a reward for any duplicates that you do end up getting. For instance, if you've unlocked a skin previously, you will get a, varying amount of currency for in-game purchases that you can then use to save up and buy one of the skins that you actually did want. Is it as good as getting the skin right off the bat through the box? No, but it is still giving you something. And the third major point for acceptable loot boxes, all of it can be earned through in-game grinding. There is nothing that is inherently, having to be purchased. Now, what I do take issue with is what we have with Shadow of War this week. Whenever you have a perfectly fine single-player experience that has been inundated with loot boxes and loot crates and microtransactions in general, when it has no business even being in that section of the market. I mean, like I said, it's primarily a single-player campaign. There is no kind of multiplayer PvP element of any kind. There is nothing here that really warrants a microtransaction being included in the experience overall, other than just the opportunity to make the developers and publisher more money. I will say that all of the microtransactions within Shadow of War can be earned through in-game grinding and earning the currency in the game instead of putting on your credit card and just purchasing it outright. However, that grind is so long. For instance, the supposed around 12-hour grind that you have to push through to unlock the alternative ending in an organic manner is a little bit unacceptable just because of the nature of a lot of people's lives today. For instance, I'm in college and also working part-time. For me to grind out 12 hours of Shadow of War after I've already played the rest of the game just to unlock an alternative ending is something I could probably do, but it's not necessarily something that I'm excited about doing no matter how much I love the game. So to summarize my thoughts on the entire Shadow of War thing, the microtransactions are not necessary, and you don't have to partake in them if you don't want to. However, at the end of the day, it still feels dirty because it's a low-balling, money-grabbing cash grab. What it comes down to is that if you don't like loot boxes and loot crates and microtransactions and supply drops and all these things that we've seen throughout Overwatch and Rocket League and Call of Duty and Battlefield and all of these other games that have come out, if you don't like that, then simply don't buy them. I'm not saying don't buy the games. I want to make that very clear. If you still want to play games like Overwatch, if you still want to play Shadow of War, by all means go ahead and do that. But whenever you get into the game, don't buy the microtransactions. Heck, if you can even avoid it in the game, don't buy them with the in-game currency that you earn. In my personal opinion, it's the same kind of thing that we saw a couple of years ago with the online passes that were included in some games like Medal of Honor and Battlefield 3. You remember that? Yeah, not many other people do either because we shut that down real quick. What it comes down to is that if you want to see this stuff change, then you and I both have to work together to make sure that we vote with our wallets, as the saying does go, and not go ahead and play into the system. So anyways, that wraps it up for this week's episode of On the Topic Of. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you did, drop me a like down below, and in the comments section, let me know what you think about loot crates, loot boxes, supply drops, microtransactions, giving money to a developer after paying $60 for the full game. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you do happen to be new to the channel, I do upload new stuff throughout the week, and there is a second giveaway going on, which was detailed in a video a couple of days back, so you can go check that out. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'm going to go think about microtransactions more because it seems like that's what everyone's doing these days. Peace.